So please welcome our new speaker for the track Mobility. His name is Cristiam Sabogal, and he's an industrial designer with an MA in artistic education from the Universidad Nacional, which is the public university here in Bogota. And he's founder and partner of several collectives related to active citizenship and the company Creatorio de Movilidad, which is the project that he's here to present to you. So thank you very much for your time. I'm gonna give you the micro.
Well, thank you very much. Herzlich willkommen nach Kolumbien, zu alle Leute von Deutschland. Bienvenidos a todos los colombianos. Es una lástima estar en Colombia y tener que hablar en inglés. So I was saying that sorry for having to speak in English because it's kind of a paradox, no? To be here and to need another language to talk here. So let's start. This is Creatorio. I'm going to talk about several stuff that I've been doing in mobility since I had my degree in industrial design. And let's start with a little bit of inspiration the Creatorio way, because we don't believe in inspiration in the traditional way. We actually think that there's no hope, and this is a basis for all what we've been doing for a long time. Why is it important to make this clear? Because hope is not an ethical category to work on. So this presents us a really big problem. When we work hope-based, when we design, when we make this kind of hope-based design, we are getting into trouble. We are expecting something from future. So that's a really big problem. I wanted to start by telling you why I speak a little bit of German. I went to Germany in 2009. I wanted to make my master in transportation design. As you heard before, my master degree is not in transportation design, but in artistic education. I went to Germany then because I found the Hochschule Pforzheim, and I think that the Hochschule Pforzheim is one of the best schools in transportation design all over the globe. But when I was there, I had an appointment with Professor Kelly. At that time, he was the master's director. And talking to him, we both realized that that was not the best place for me. Why was that place not right for me? Because there was no room for questions, basically. They needed answers above everything. So for me, it was a really huge constraint, this issue. We don't want to, in Creatorio, we'll say it a little bit later, we prefer questions before answers. We prefer to navigate on questions, even though we are designers, and designers are supposed, and this is also something to think about it, we are supposed to give answers. So what I did was trying to find another place to make my degree in transportation design. What did I find? This is from 2010. If you can take a look in this map, what we can see here is on the circles, on the blue circles, we have some of the best known schools on transportation design all over the globe. In these schools, the blue part are the projects that has something to do with automotive design, car design, basically. Okay, thank you very much. On the white part of these circles are the projects in these schools who has something to do with mobility. So this was very, this opened my mind, sorry? Ah, okay, it's okay. It's okay, no problem. So, what did I find there? That in transportation design schools, in the best transportation design schools all over the world, people do not think transportation. So it's very complicated to think on mobility. They only and the biggest amount of projects are dedicated to car design. So this is, that's okay. So this is Heidelberg. This is the street where I used to live. And in this street, this was the look of the street at rush hour. So this was the biggest amount of cars that you could see there was this. But just outside Heidelberg, in the Autobahn, for sure you have listened, you have heard sometime about the Autobahns. In the Autobahns, these roads where you're supposed not to have speed limit, but you have some parts, there was a jam of 4 kilometers. So there was a kind of a contradiction. Why in this part of Heidelberg there is no traffic at all? And outside the city, there is a lot. So, for sure, it has something to do with what we think and some theoretical in design says. They're talking about ontological design. Ontological design is this thing that whatever you design, it will design yourself again. It's a circle, always. So, but we think, as industrial designers, usually, that the project or the product that we bring to the people is the last part of the process. It keeps on designing all the time. What is designing at this time? Beautiful electrical and autonomous traffic jams that may look like this. And it's really complicated for me to see that what I used to dream about, because that was my dream since I was a kid, to become transportation designer, car designer. That car that I design can make this. And we're not talking about only the cars, the traditional cars that we think. As I was saying, we're talking right now, in this moment, this is not 2010, this is 2018, and what is about to come, beautiful electrical and autonomous traffic jams. Because we're thinking, and this is very wrong, that autonomy, for instance, in the technology field, without thinking about it, without trying to ask ourselves, what the hell does that mean, will bring us the answer. So, when we talk about ontological design, what we are trying to approach, the approach that we are trying to give to design is, what can we do right now to understand the impact, and there comes the big word, the impact of the things that we are doing, because that's very complex. So, at that time, when I came back from Germany, I came back and I started teaching in the National University of Colombia. That is the biggest university in Colombia and the biggest public university in Colombia. So I started thinking on citizenship culture. Citizenship culture will bring us to a new paradigm. What can we do about the behavior of people on the streets? So, for instance, object and communication was a subject that I used to give here in the Tayo University. We're talking about 2011. So we started to make actions on the street. So my students did that action. They used to cover with a blanket full of signals of prohibition to park in several parts, and cover a car that was wrong parked. After that, of course, that was a reaction of people. People tried not to park whenever they see them out on the street. At the same time, well, a couple of years after that, we started a citizenship movement called 101 Day. 101 Day started here in Bogota and become really famous. Approximately 40 or 50 cities right now in more than 20 different countries in the world have taken this initiative and they apply it on their own cities. The idea is to create a platform for the people to go and contribute with their ideas to transform their own cities. So this is a picture of Pamplona, Norte de Santander. So people go out to the street, and this is not necessarily with mobility, but it's about what it was about. What can people do for their context? But it has another problem that we are going to see right now. And after that, we created a movement also here called Agentes Cultóricos that was related to that kind of works specifically. So what could we think about this idea? I don't know if you've seen or do you know something about our former mayor here in Bogotá, Antanas Mockus. Antanas Mockus became really famous because he tried to transform the culture on the city through this kind of actions. Of course, he was an inspiration for this kind of exercises that we did. The problem of Mockus, he wrote a text for the New York Times, we're talking about 2 years ago, and when he talked about it, when he wrote it, he said, creativity can change cities. I was creative, and I applied that to city being the mayor. But there was a problem. He was forgetting, he was letting out of that equation that he was in power. What's the difference between these two facts? After Antanas Mockus became mayor, I could say like 100, maybe more than 100, let's say 200 collectives of citizens started here in Bogotá, working every single day in every single part of the city, trying to transform something, to change something. But right now, we cannot see their effort on the city. The city is again on the same crisis. We cannot, something happened and something is missing because these people is very creative, but what they are doing is not working. Why did that happen? Hannah Arendt would say, when somebody is in power, and if that person becomes author, that means the authority to do something, that person can say to the other, hey, we have to change this and that. But citizens, when we are at the same level, we have that restriction. It's very complicated for me as a citizen to say somebody else, you're doing this wrong, you should do it better, because people will feel it, cannot see the authority that the people is embracing. So, thank you. So there is a problem. We are overvaluing creativity. We are not understanding the principles of creativity related to these kind of problems that are really big. So when we are thinking on active citizenship, a kind of blind belief in creativity and citizenship on its own is growing up. We have to make a stop and think a little bit more about it. But I'm telling you more or less how was my story. So after that, I decided to come back to vehicles. And Creatorio started as a vehicle company. What kind of vehicles? Bicycles. We designed this bicycle 2012, 2013, and it was nominated to one of our design awards here in Colombia. Was the first time that a bicycle was nominated for that award, and we actually like it. The concept, the design concept behind this bike was we have to try to take all the values of a car and bring it to a bicycle, talking about local production as well, and through that, trying to make the people to leave their cars. So if they leave their cars, you know, Colombia and Bogotá specifically has a very complicated culture of cars. You know, we buy cars every single time due to, of course, the poor transportation, public transportation system that we have. So, expecting that, we came out to market with this bicycle. But we forgot something as well. We were missing something as well. What we were missing? There is something, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't remember exactly, there was the beginning of our public policy on trying to support bicycle on the streets. So one of the parts of this campaign was based on this two ideas. The first one was, we have no data from here, from Colombia, so this is Forbes-based in the States. So bike use cost per year, it's about $300. And using a car will cost you $8,000 per year. So what's the difference? The difference is almost $7,900. What could we do if we translate that to pesos, Colombian pesos? We're talking about 25 million pesos, that it's more or less what a small car could cost, a very small car. So what happened in our head whenever this idea comes to our mind? We think immediately, what can I do with these 20-something million pesos? What can I buy? We never think, oh, I don't need that money anymore. I could resign to that money. That doesn't happen. That's not capitalism. We try to spend it in something. So what did we find? We did an exercise. We tried to, this is the World Wildlife Foundation footprint calculator. This is the results. And I did it to myself. I use bus more than everything. So my regular life using bus is 27% above the limit I could have for achieving regular life according to footprint, carbon footprint. If I would use a car every single day, it would be 41% above. If I would use bike, only 11% above. The difference is not too much. But we were very convinced that bicycle will give us a really small footprint. But the problem is that footprint, it's revealed the most in the consumption you do every single day. So, if I were vegan, I will consume locally, I will try to be more responsible to the things I buy, I will be 33% above my limit. But if I use bike and I spend 25 million pesos changing my cell phone every single year, changing my TV, changing my every electronic device, buying more beauty products and stuff, I will be 130% above. So there is something, what is missing? What is something that we are missing here? Bicycle is neither a way of changing if we are not able to bring some new values. So there was born what we call mobility culture design. Mobility culture design is based on something that we say. First, mobility is a quality. It's not an amount. It's not transportation either. Mobility is only how much or how good can I move from A to B. That's mobility. So sometimes we forget that we have in the equation the point where I start and the point where I go. For example, here in Creatorio, what we try to do is to live the closest we can to our work. And our principal work is not Creatorio, because we don't produce money enough to support every single one here. But I work here, so I had to move the closest I could to the Tadeo. The same for my partners. And what is culture? Culture is the is the group of values that motivate people to act. So whenever we understand that, we say if we wanted to change wanted to change our lives through bike, we need to appoint to different values, very different values to what Forbes magazine was saying us here. We cannot point to spend some money in some other stuff. We need to start asking ourselves, for example, I have to consume local, I have to pursue zero waste lifestyle. Tony Fry, designer that was last week here in the Tadeo, for example, he said, we need first to repair than to innovate. And that's something that hit us really, really hard to us designers, because we love innovation. Actually, we believe that we bring innovation to people. Technological appropriateness, That means we have to take our responsibility about the technological devices that surround us, or the technological devices that we develop. And less is more, and slower is better. Those values, if comes with bike, maybe can change something. So, what is this all about? The basic question that we have here, I know that here we are very design thinking lovers. We're very close to. We have to take that with a lot of caution, because whenever you get to design thinking, you get stuck in this first part, concept design. What is concept design traditionally? Cedric is the program of Volkswagen for autonomous mobility. And Cedric has several appliances. One of those is this, not anymore school bus, but cool bus. So the cool bus is the concept of design. Let's make the children go to the school in a cool bus. And they developed a lot of ideas with an aesthetic that is really good, even though they have a sticker on the bumper of the vehicle that says, this is not a school bus anymore, this is cool. Autonomy is cool. Are they asking themselves, what the hell is autonomy? I think they are not. And that's the problem of trying to throw concepts before trying to conceptualize, to design. Because conceptualize is to stop and think, why? Have we asked ourselves, what is autonomy? Why do we look for it so desperately? And of course, what is the impact of taking this for granted? We took for granted that autonomy is really good. We don't know if we're going to be able to handle this. We are building, if you see the size of autonomous vehicles, for example, autonomous vehicles in most of the cases are way bigger than they have to, because the interior of these vehicles have become the most important part of it. I'm going to spend a lot of time into the vehicle, so I need a lot of space. So the vehicle grows up a lot. They're huge. They are absolutely huge. The last Volvo for autonomous vehicle, it's the size of an SUV, and it's for taking 4 people. Exactly the same as all the other vehicles. So if we are not asking ourselves about the impact of taking this for granted, then design thinking cannot take us to another place. We are going to be stuck exactly on the same model. We need to ask ourselves bigger questions. So we tried to when we designed this bike. And you will see at the end what did we miss with this bike, and of course with this picture specifically. When we designed this bike, we were thinking a concept. Malena, she's a really good friend's daughter. So Malena once went to him, went with his father to buy the color pencils for her year in school. When they came back to house, David, my friend, he took all the pencils out. I don't know if in Germany you do that, but here we have the tradition of cutting an edge of the pencil and writing the name on it, or printing the name and wrapping it in the pencil with the paper and a piece of tape. So when he started to cut the pencil to write Malena's name, Malena asked his dad, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just putting a mark on your pencil so you don't lose them in the school." "But why are you doing that? Those pencils are not mine. Are of all the children in my class." Children do not have this problem that we have with private property. We have it, and it's very complicated. So whenever we get to the design of this bicycle, we started asking ourselves, what is private property? And what is private property making to us in our everyday life? Because we right now are talking a lot about working together, being collective, co-design, but we still have the prevail of private property. So there is a point we're missing out. And with this bike, we started asking ourselves that. What is the impact of private property? Where's the right place to ask these questions? The right place, we think, it was with children. We had to ask this question to children, so they can keep on questioning the things that we are not able to. And, of course, what are we still missing out from this approach to design? Because for sure, we are missing out something else. For example, in this same picture, because the idea of this bike, if you take a look, there is a bike that you can use in two ways. We have the seat here, that is something that you can remove, and after that, you can use it as a scooter. What we were trying to do here, and the place where we tested, was on the selling room, where whenever we wanted to sell these bikes. We suck at selling bikes. We're really bad at selling bikes. So a parent comes and says to us, okay, I love your bike. Give me two. I have a children of 4 that can use it as a balance bike. I have a children of 7. He can use it as a scooter. We said, no, take just one. We said, the guy, oh, but what the hell? I'm saying you, I'm gonna buy you 2. And I said, but we don't want us to buy us 2. We want your children to fight. We want your children to have a conflict for a bike. Because what we decided as a society, I think it's gonna work right now. Thank you. What we think is that we decided to take our children apart. We prefer not to have a conflict at home. So, this is your tablet for you, this is a tablet for you, everyone in his own room, everyone with his own TV, everyone with, no, and we have no problems. I don't know in Germany, but here in Colombia, if we take a look at our parents, my mother, she has 12 siblings, and they had 2 bikes for the 12. So they had to fight a lot. And they are really good collaborating right now. They support each other every single day. I want to see the children right now that has their own stuff, if they can support their brothers and sisters the way my parents, my mother do with her siblings. So this is why we designed this. And for sure, in a regular capitalistic way of seeing, there is no sense. Of course, this guy that I told him, just buy us one. He didn't buy it. And we have a lot of bikes at home, because nobody wants a bike for their children to fight. Nobody. But this is a bike that works for us to stand up here, and as Mateo says, we design bicycles to talk, to have conversations that nobody could ever start. So this bike takes us to the first point. There is no hope. We are not basic designers. We do not have to work thinking that we are going to make a better world. Only for one reason, if you want me to make it short. Because history is a path that we are walking to become better. This is not. We think Yuval Noah Harari, he wrote *Sapiens*. I don't know if you read *Sapiens*. He's a historian, and he says there is no way that we think that everything that has happened from the beginning of our race is to be, of our species, is to be better. No? We are just walking. That means something. Whenever we talk about environmental impact, we're thinking on these kind of things. We are waiting for the design, we are waiting for the science, we are waiting for the technology to save us and to give us a way out of this crisis. There is no way out. We are a half Celsius degree in the scale, just a half of no reaching back, of no having way back. There is no. But we, for some reason, need somebody to give us hope. I'm not that person, and I won't be ever, I hope. Because what we understand as inspiration is not how to fix our problems, but how can we get a deeper understanding on our problems. That's what cannot happen into a room when you want to make collaborative design. That's something that we need to do outside in our everyday life. So, to resume what is happening here, and I'm very sorry if I don't bring you hope, and you needed hope, and you came here to have some hope. You just can act. That's the only thing that you have. But the problem between conceptualization and concept design is that in conceptualization, you stand in a place, stop a little bit, and try to think, what are we missing? We are missing something. Whenever we talk about ontological design, what we are saying is, whatever you do can make a disaster bigger than the one that you wanted to solve. What is the only way out of this? Trying to be more responsible, trying to make a bigger understanding on yourself to reach our design project, to approach design, to make a collaborative design event or whatever we want to do. So, I don't know if there is any question. This is what we do and what we don't, because we don't have hope. So, thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you. Questions? Questions. Looks
That usually happens.
What you said was very clear. Really? Comments? Ah, there you go.
Cristian, thank you for your speech of hope. I have a question. What is the reflection about technology in Creatorio?
Thank you, Carlos. Well, this is a question we've been asking ourselves, of course. And by now, what we're doing is thinking technology as a complement. Because what we are looking at technology outside Creatorio is that technology is the way. Technology is what leads us to salvation, for example. So for instance, we say, so this is the idea of we have a really huge problem on environment, and we expect technology to do something that we cannot. Last night we were in a Slavoj Žižek seminar, and Slavoj Žižek is, some people will say, a pessimist. We think it's not a pessimist, that's something very different. Pessimism is always a way to take off the concept that somebody can give about a problem when it's not positive. So they were saying something pretty interesting. They were showing us an image of what happened during the 60s, where the nuclear war was really close to become reality. So there was this bunker built by regular people, where they had their saving water, saving food and stuff, and they were under the earth. So, under soil. He was saying, right now, we think that was overreacting. These people is making a really big deal about it. Why are they doing so big problem? But he was saying, overreacting should be the real thing right now, because we are in real danger. Why aren't we scared? Why do we think that we can save the world? Because we have some beliefs, just as in a religion. The first belief is in technology. We believe above everything that technology and science can save us. But we forget that technology and science has an ideology. They both. It's named capitalism. So the companies with the money, they will say, what technology are we developing? That's a fact. But we all citizens that walk the city, we believe that it's our fault, that I am not recycling. One of the data that they were giving us is 71 companies around the globe, no, 100 companies around the globe are making the 71% of environmental impact, talking about greenhouse gases. So what do we have to do with technology? We need to develop appropriate technology. That appropriateness is a word that we are missing as well. We think that every single technological change is good, by defect. We just have to change. We just need to improve technology. And we keep on working on it. As technology were, as if technology would have their own life. So to resume, what we think about technology is, yes, of course we need technology, but if there is no concern, a real big concern on the impact of technology, if we are not asking ourselves what's the impact of technology, there is pointless. There is technology that is not leading us anywhere. But even though we are checking this very carefully, it will be a problem as well to think that technology, when we think it, when we try to make some philosophy around it, will drive us out of this problem.
Thank you. I think I'm going to cut you there because we need to go back into our agenda.
Okay.
And our students need to go to the street. But it was very interesting, and it links me to a point or to an advice that I will give you maybe on the time of ideation. It's very important to be critical on what you are ideating. And there is a technique where you can kill your idea, kill it, hate your idea, use something that is called a pre-mortem. And there's a little technique that you can use. It's like, think about a Twitter in 20 years when you already have your idea. In these 20 years, what is the worst thing they can tweet about your idea in 20 years? Right? And think about that, write it in 5 minutes with your team, put all the post-its there, and from the worst thing that it can be happening, iterate from that. That's a little advice that I can give you so that you don't fall into this concept that he's saying and actually conceptualize. Be critical of your idea. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks to you.